places because they're already trying to go around us, and they think they can do it by treaty. The president now has a treaty he's trying to get the Senate to sign on where they will have control of the internet. Let's hope that the internet, I don't understand all the details of the internet, but I hope it's bigger than any government there is. I hope they can always get around. The cause of liberty is a relatively new idea, and I think young people are attracted to new ideas. But a lot of people will accuse me, and I'm sure you've been accused of saying, oh, you believe in the gold standard, and you believe in laissez-faire capitalism, private properties, and this sort of thing. And they would say, you're just going back to the 19th century or so. But you know what? You know what is really old? And that is tyranny. And that's what we have to find. There have been tyrants around in all forms from the beginning of time, and most of the world is run by tyrants today, and indirectly we're moving in that direction because our society is getting to be where the tyrant is the dictatorship of the majority, and they get around to abuse the minority, they do. So this has been here for a long time, but we've had this experiment, and it was great success. It was imperfect, but we still had the freest and the most prosperous country ever, the largest middle class. And from my viewpoint, it looked to me like we were throwing away this tremendous experiment. But right now, I'm more encouraged than ever because I think America is waking up and they know the other. For practical reasons, some of us are theoretical and say, well, we just believe in liberty and this is what our goal should be and this is a natural consequence. But many others are waking up because whether they're on the receiving end or the paying end, they're waking up and saying, it doesn't work anymore and we're broke, and they're admitting the truth. That means they're looking at our views because they can't offer any more, big government program. The 20th century was the age of what was a decade or a century where socialism was proved to be at great fault. And I would like to see as quickly as possible in the next decade, the proof pudding that interventionism, the planned economy, the paper money system, and this economic planning through monetary policy, all this is failing too. It's supposed to be a soft sell on socialism and welfareism. But the truth is, it's still authoritarianism. It doesn't recognize the value of your life and your liberties. And this is the message that we have to get across because it will give us the peace and prosperity that we all seek. Freedom got chopped up into several pieces. Economic liberty and personal liberty. They were thought to be two different things. And even today, some people say, well, he's an economic conservative and he believes in the free market. Somebody else say, he's a civil libertarian, he believes in personal liberties. But there should be no difference. If you have a right to your life and a right to your liberty, you ought to have a right to keep your fruits of fruits of your labor. This is all one thing. But a lot of people get sort of hesitant. The ones on the left will say, yeah, that's good, but there's still going to be a poor person out there and we have to help them. So they embark on a system that makes sure that a few people get benefits, but before they know it, the rich get the benefits and the poor get the crumbs. And they keep saying that if we take care of these people, it'll work. So we're going to have programs of free education, free medical care, free housing, and all of a sudden if we wake up, the people who got the free housing essentially they lose their houses. The medical care goes downhill. The educational system goes downhill, and the young people get nothing but debt. So there is a point where the people realize that this doesn't work. And I think that's where we are today. And that's why we need more confidence in this understanding of what liberty is all about. Others on the other side, one would say that about economic liberty. On the other side, they say, yeah, but if we give people too much freedom, they're going to abuse it, and they're going to do things that aren't very wise, which is absolutely true. Some will. But do you think things are better off if your personal lifestyle are dictated by the politicians and bureaucrats that you know and that the world would be better if we didn't make the choice and let the bureaucrats make choices for our personal habits and our personal life? I don't buy into that. I don't think we should let them do it either. they're going to do things that, that they frown upon. But it is true. If you accept liberty for yourself, you have to accept liberty for other people. Because they may use it. They may not be frugal. They may not do a very good job. They should, benefit if they take care of themselves and suffer the consequences if they don't. In a free and prosperous society, there will be more wealth. There will be less poor people. We so often lose the argument about the humanitarian argument. To me, the only humanitarian system that you can have is a free market, sound money system. Because if you think humanitarianism is going to be forced down our throats and you have more prosperity, then we're kidding ourselves. But on the issue of on personal liberty and habits, you say, well, as long as that individual who's exercising their rights and run their own life, if they don't hurt other people, yeah, you got a right to try to change things. The first thing, you got responsibility for yourself, to take care of the way you want to live, to set an example. Then you have family and friends and neighbors and churches and communities to try to change things. But to turn this over to the federal government means that the federal government is going to take away and steal your liberties. Once a government embarks on this notion that they can protect you from yourself, there is no liberty left. But the other thing is if somebody uses their liberty in a way that you don't approve, it doesn't mean you endorse what they do. If you have freedom of religion, some people have religions you think are rather bizarre. Some people don't even practice a religion. You might say you do. You don't lay awake at night, worrying about that. That's the same way about reading books or whatever. But if you see this and you can tolerate other people who are different, you know what happens? Is we all come together. We come together not because... There we go! We don't come together because we belong to certain groups. We come together because we're individuals. We want to make up our own decisions, and then we tolerate other people's views. And like I say, as long as people don't use their violence and try to force things on other people. Government shouldn't force you. Individuals shouldn't force each other. But this is the reason that the true example of liberty brings very, very diverse groups together. And another thing, if we want to understand this, we have to realize that we don't get our rights because we belong to a group. It sounds good, and we talk about civil liberties and minority rights and women's rights and all kinds of rights and sexual rights. I don't think you need to do anything. I think that's confrontational. I think what you need to do is think of individuals' rights to do what they want with their lives. And that's This is a powerful message. I didn't invent it. I've tried to study it and understand it. I think it's relatively new, like I say. But we can improve on it. We don't have to go back to an old gold standard. We can improve on other gold standard. It wasn't perfect. But the ultimate test of this is what the founder said. Ultimately, it depends on the morality of the people. Freedom doesn't work if the people aren't willing to accept the principles of freedom and assume responsibility for themselves. If they think that all we have to do is get together and hire more lobbyists, see, the business community are the most guilty right now because they have spent more money on lobbying than they do on R&D, and they want to influence government. And so if we had this confidence, it would be completely different. We'd have a very small government. We would have a strong national defense. We would be tolerant of other people. We would have a lot more freedom. We would have a lot more prosperity. And one thing for sure, we would have a lot more peace in the world. And those are my goals. Peace and prosperity. Thank you.
Well, I guess, yeah. See you on YouTube.